Hello, Palladium fans. I have a very exciting interview for you tonight. I'm here with Sophie Campbell, and we're going to be talking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, comics, art, role playing games, the whole thing. Sophie,
Yeah.
thank you for joining me.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure. I'm a fan, and
Thank you.
Kevin said, "Hey, if we're doing stuff for Redux, you've got to talk with Sophie." So
Yes.
for people who may not know who you are, do you want to give us a brief introduction and to kind of the stuff that you have worked on in the industry and what you're working on right now?
Yeah, I'm a writer, artist, cartoonist. I've done a lot of indie stuff. That's like kind of what I did, early on in my career. And for the past, God, I guess several years, feels like an eternity at this point. I've been doing, like more work for hire stuff, like Ninja Turtles.
Yeah,
Currently on Supergirl. I did a Mothra miniseries. Gem and the Holograms is another one I did.
that's outrageous. Truly, truly outrageous.
Really outrageous. Um, I'm always kind of trying to get back to my creator-owned indie stuff, but it just never works out.
Yeah.
Someday. Um, but yeah, I do a lot of books with like I guess like sad girls, like like goth adjacent stuff, and
Yeah.
yeah, stuff like that.
Um, so you mentioned Ninja Turtles.
Yes.
Um, as you know, Palladium is just about actually, I think the final books should have gone out to backers and pre-orders as of the time this video releases, and they should
Yes,
be available.
I have copies, so I can confirm that they exist.
Are they gorgeous?
Let me see if I can find it here. I'm in my I'm in my pajamas below the waist, so I'll try to spare you. Here's the transdimensional one.
Oh, did you get the black, white, and red one?
This is the cover I drew, so that's
Oh, that's fantastic.
yeah, based on Kevin's sketch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you're not just a Ninja Turtle artist and fan, but you played TMNT.
signed by Kevin.
Oh, the dragon.
Yeah, he goes, Sophie, it has been a pleasure working with you. Game on. I love that. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, like, they exist. They look great. Yeah.
Awesome. But you've played the actual game.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
Absolutely.
let's talk about that to start. How did you find the Palladium games system? How did you find TMNT? Like, was that one of your first role playing games? Kind of what's the
Yes,
history there?
yes. The original Ninja Turtles and Other Strangeness was the jumping on point for me. A friend of mine down the street had the first book, like the original book,
Yeah.
and I knew that the Turtles, obviously it was like 1988, 89, something like that at that point. So there were toys and stuff, and I think the cartoon was going at that point,
Yeah.
but it didn't. I was like not a big like TV kid,
Yeah.
like cartoon, like Saturday morning cartoons. Like I didn't really do that much, and so I knew what the Turtles were, but they just like it was still kind of like beyond the toys. It was kind of just like on the periphery for me.
Right.
And then this friend of mine had this book where they have like all the red masks on the cover, and they're like they're like grimacing and stuff, and I was like, it's like, whoa, like what are these turtles?
Right, because it's such a stark difference.
It was
There's a very
very,
bright, cartoony.
yeah.
Yeah.
And like I feel like that the division between that stuff has like blurred in the decades since, but yeah, like at the time, in like the late 80s or whatever, it was like I was like, whoa, like who are these guys?
Yeah.
And then there's that comic, don't judge a book, in the book, or the the RPG book, it's like a short that Kevin Eastman and Peter did, where the turtles, they dress up in Halloween costumes, and these like burglars show up and they get beaten up, and it's like it's like a silly kind of comic, but it still has this like kind of like down to earth kind of grit to it,
Well, and then it also has heart because right, their costumes are destroyed, which the alien costume is my favorite,
right?
And then everybody's like, well, no, cool, you can still stay at the party. You're kind of still in costumes because you're turtles. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, and like there's a part where like Raph and like some guy like tumble down the stairs, and Raph like smashes his face on the floor, and I'm just like, it's like, wow, they can do that. Like they can just like, it's like ambiguous whether those guys are dead or not, but it's just like whoa, they can just like beat these guys up like that. Like they don't do anything like that in like the cartoon stuff I've seen. And yeah, and that was like, I was like that led to the Mirage comics.
Yeah.
And I was like a Ninja Turtle purist like for many years after that. I was just like, nah, the cartoon's like baby stuff.
Well, Kevin actually said that in some ways, as the Turtles' success became more, pop cultural,
right,
it killed the role-playing game.
Yeah, definitely.
For kind of that reason, people were like, well, when they were cool and dark and violent, yeah, let's play TMNT and Other Strangeness.
Right.
When they were a popular Saturday morning cartoon, we were already getting beat up because we were playing role-playing games. Let's not make everybody think that we're playing something that's, as you said, kind of for kids.
Right. Which is totally fine.
No, 100%.
I'm an adult now and it's fine. But like when I was young, like, the cartoon like was lame for me. It's like lame. All right, go watch your little baby show. I'll watch, I'll read the comics where they're like cutting people's heads off and stuff.
They were super violent. You were just amazingly violent. And I mean, that's one of the things that I love about the 70s and 80s kind of indie scene, but also like if you go back and look at, we were talking about Sword and Sorcery before the start of it, like Savage Sword of Conan.
Yeah.
That was a comic, but it kind of treated all of its readers like, you know what you're getting into. It's Conan.
Right.
And they were violent, and in some ways that kind of made them a little bit more, I don't know, maybe they captured my imagination more because they were a little bit more real and a little bit more grounded. And I think that's the same thing with especially Eastman and Laird. Like their storytelling and their art style was just like nothing else that was on the scene at the time.
Yeah, and like in those old Turtles books, like obviously, like I have, this trans-dimensional adventures book here, which is all like, kind of based on like the Mirage stuff where the turtles like went to outer space and like other dimensions and time travel. So like there is that kind of like over the top, like silly stuff. Like there's plenty of like silly story, like, silly Mirage stories, but it's like there's this, like kind of like yo-yoing of tone that they would be able to do where it's like, like, oh, it's kind of silly, like, oh, there's aliens, and then, like somebody gets really hurt or something,
right?
And then it's like, oh God, it's like kind of serious now, and yeah, like it just, it like even when it was crazy, it had this like kind of like down to earthness to it, which I still really love.
Well, I mean, even it happened in the role playing game too, right? We would get something like Turtles Go Hollywood with like all of the turtles surfing on the cover, and you're like, oh, well, all right. And then you get into it, you're like, oh, okay, I understand why this is part of the
yeah, definitely.
So, were you a player? Were you a game master? Kind of what, like when you were playing the game, what side of the screen were you on?
I was a player for a long time, and we had like a really, it's like, it's weird to say like a hard ass GM because we were like 12 or something.
Right.
So like how hard ass, could he have been or whatever? But, he was like, he was like a real stickler for like, like if you rolled your strength like really low or something, like, sorry, you're shit out of luck. Like, and, there were all these like really cool, Eastman and Laird like drawings of these mutant animals in the book, and like you flip through them and you're like, oh, I want to play the porcupine, like I want to be that guy. And then, but our friend would be like, no, you got to roll on the tables.
Oh, so you always had to do random characters?
Yes, we had to do random everything because he was like a real stickler. And I can't even remember what animal my character was the first time we played, but it was not the porcupine that I wanted. It was like, I don't know, like a hippo or something, which seems cool now.
Right?
But at the time, it was just like, well, I want to.
Porcupine.
I want quills, or whatever. And one thing I did was like I was so determined to play this porcupine character that I went behind our GM's back and I went to the store and bought a copy of my own of
so that you could roll up your own characters,
which I still have here. Here it is. Here it is. It's all dogs and fucked up.
Yeah.
Kevin Eastman signed it.
That's amazing.
It is an absolute mess. But yeah, so this was it. This was the book. And sometimes he would let us like pick numbers because the tables were like pretty extensive, right?
Oh yeah.
So we'd just be like, okay, like pick, like a number 1 through 100, be like 72, or whatever. Yeah. And so what I did was I memorized the numbers to get to the porcupine. Like okay, you got to do like like the wild animal table, and then like I can't even remember what it is now, but there's like a series of tables that you do, right? And so I tried to memorize it, and so like okay, like I'm ready for the next session or whatever where we're going to make new characters. Like I'm ready. I have this like roadmap to the porcupine, and he doesn't know that I had the book. So to him, like no one will be the wiser, right?
That's right. Yeah.
And somehow when it came time to like recite these numbers or whatever, like I messed it up.
Oh no.
I was off by however many, and I got some other animal, but I had to like pretend like I didn't, like
you weren't disappointed because you didn't know what the outcome was
exactly. And I had to be like, oh wow, that's cool, or whatever. And then like, afterward I raced home and I was like, damn it, I got the wrong, I was 51, not 52, or whatever it was, So
did you have a favorite character that you got to play?
I cannot remember. It was so long ago. I do not remember. I do remember in a later session or like a later game when we had kind of like gotten rid of this stickler GM friend, I had a mutant turtle, obviously, named Benny. And I cannot remember what his deal was. I remember he looked like the Ninja Turtles, obviously, but he had stripes. And I remember he had like do you remember Bionic Commando?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he had like a Bionic Commando, like grappling hook that he would shoot out. Because like by then we had also gotten Ninjas and Super Spies.
Oh yeah,
has all the cybernetic stuff in it. And we had like combined it with the mutant animals. So
yeah. So the first role playing book I owned was Heroes Unlimited. So I feel like I lucked out. Yeah. Because it was superheroes, which I love, but it also had all of Eric Wujak's just amazing mutant animal stuff. Man, that's awesome.
Yeah, we didn't like we played a ton of Heroes Unlimited like later.
Yeah.
I can't remember like how long it took us to find it or whatever. Like we did Rifts for like a long time too.
Yeah, same.
Obviously. Yeah. So yeah, that's my like underhanded history with the Ninja Turtles role-playing game.
Do you still get to play? Like, do you still play role-playing games at all?
Yeah. I am currently I actually just finished up a Rifts campaign like over the summer that I was jamming.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it was really fun. We did because Kevin put out the Coalition Manhunters book like a couple of years ago.
Yeah. And
that like I had kind of been like off, like I still have all the books and stuff, but I had been like kind of off Rifts for a little while. And then that book came out. I can't remember if I bought it or if like he sent it to me. I can't remember, but I was just like, oh, like this is a campaign. Like
Mm-hmm.
this book, this is
Yeah.
a campaign. So we did this like, you know, Chi-Town city rat like coalition, like really, you know, down to earth kind of street level
Oh,
thing,
that's awesome.
which was really fun. Um, I can't remember the last time I played like Ninja Turtles, but uh, I'm in an Exalted game every Sunday right now.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, so that's kind of fun.
Third edition,
I
like
don't, which is it's stupid because like I did a bunch of art for Exalted back in the early 2000s for first
yeah.
edition, and I had never played it. I had never played the game for whatever reason. Like even though I love White Wolf stuff, but
Oh yeah.
like whatever reason I just never played it. But apparently there's a thing now like the Exalted D-Make, which is like written by one of the ex-Exalted writers who is kind of trying to like bring it back to like some of the older material or something. So that's the system we're doing. It's like I cannot remember the writer's name. Holden something, I think. But it's like a combination of like different editions, I guess. Yeah, so that's fun. And I am currently about to do a Pirate Borg campaign.
Oh man, I've got Pirate Board on the shelf. Like,
Oh yeah, Pirate Borg. Like we've had a couple like false starts with Pirate Borg, not because it's bad or anything, but because like things move fast over here, and like my interests kind of like change with the seasons. So like. At first, I was just like, well, we could go back to Pirate Borg, but it's like the winter now. Like, I want to do like winter game stuff. Like, I want to do like, have you heard of this game Worm, the Ice Age?
yeah,
Yeah. So I'm just like, I want to do like, like people are cold or, and like that kind of stuff. Like Pirate Borg's a summer game.
that makes
like,
sense.
I'm determined to like finish this story that we started. So, we're going to go back to it.
On a completely random note that I may edit out, if you like Pirate Borg and you like Sword and Sorcery, check out the Black Sword hack.
Oh, I've heard of that. Yeah, I've never checked it out
So
though.
good. It's
Isn't it
so
okay?
good. Yeah. The Merry Mushmen do great stuff, and it is just a spectacular little game.
Yeah, I have a lot of these. Like I have like Knave, which I've never played for whatever reason.
Yeah, I've got Knave on over there. Yeah, and Cairn.
I've not played Cairn. We were like really into Shadow Dark for a little bit.
I'm looking at adapting something to Shadow Dark.
Nice, it's very fun. I like we are huge Forbidden Lands fans.
Yes,
I like that game. Like it uses the kind of like Year Zero stuff, like Mutant or whatever. But like when I learned like that your strength is your hit points and like it decreases as you get hurt, that blew my mind. I had never seen anything like that.
Yeah. Or the fact that you have to fail if you want to cast magic, because the only way you get willpower is by like trying something too hard and failing at it. Like that cycle is.
It's like, so, I love a lot of systems.
Yeah.
There's something about like, not like Forbidden Lands in particular, not like, Mutant is great. Like, Coriolis is great, like all that stuff. But like, there's like this cycle in Forbidden Lands where like every like thing on your character sheet like circles back into something else on your character sheet. Yep. And it just all like fits together and it's beautiful. And like, like we did like a really long like Bitter Reach campaign.
Yeah.
Love it. Love that. Love just like how just like brutal it is. And like, I don't like, I hardly have to plan anything like as the GM.
Oh yeah.
Cause like, I'm just like, well, they're going to stumble into like an ice chasm or something. Somebody's going to fuck up and that's going to be like the whole session.
That's the dice tell the story, and the dice tell a lot of grim stories.
It's great. I love it. So great. Anyway, what are we talking about?
Turtles.
Turtles. Yes, I
I'm gonna
love
leave all
Turtles.
of that in because
Yeah.
I love talking about game stuff, and it's the history of Palladium books. But as Kevin says, he gets his inspiration from everywhere. So maybe you've just heard about a couple of new games that we're excited about that you should
Yeah.
go check out.
Yeah. Um,
So how did you break into the comic book industry? You said you've done some art for Exalted. What other role playing games? Let's start with role playing games, I guess. What
Actually,
other how did you break into the art side of things?
I cannot remember how I got that Exalted gig. I think like I think my friend Tracy Yardley, who draws like a whole ton of Sonic comics, he's like really huge in that section of the industry. Like, because we were friends in college, and like he like knew somebody, he like knew the art director at that time, Brian Glass. I don't know what Brian is up to now,
Oh
but
man, yeah.
somehow he knew him. I cannot remember how. And they were like, oh, like, we're putting together this like fantasy game, this White Wolf fantasy game called Exalted, which was, it was like totally new at that point.
Oh yeah.
And, I was like, well, I'm not really into fantasy, but like, I love White Wolf, I love vampire, blah, blah, blah. So like, I did some sample pieces and I got in, and that was how I got that job. And then I think that's the only RPG I've ever done work for until this
Until
new Palladium stuff. Yeah, like I auditioned for, I think it was Changeling the Lost.
okay.
I think that was the new Changeling at that point. I can't remember what year it was, but I love the original Changeling. And so I was like, oh, I got to get it. I got to get it on Changeling. My stuff's like maybe a little too cutesy for vampire, but I can get into Changeling. And
Well,
they're
and then Changeling the Lost, they went in a completely
right,
different direction from Changeling the Dreaming.
right, which I did not know at the time because it was like pretty early on. And yeah, they were like, nah. And so I got rejected from that. And I think Exalted is like, and the new Turtle stuff is like pretty much it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
But that was not a deterrent because I mean clearly you're doing what you love. How did you get into the comic books side of things?
I pretty much like, back then there was no, there was the internet, but there was no
Mm-hmm.
Twitter or no like really like way like communal way to like network with like other comic people. And so back then, like, you had to take your portfolio, like lug it around to comic conventions. And that's what I did. I went to, San Diego and MegaCon in Orlando, and just was like, like, hey, do you want to look at my portfolio? Like that kind of stuff. And, I did it enough, I guess.
Yeah.
And, followed the Oni press editors around like a puppy, and eventually, it paid off, I guess.
Oh man. So I have a complete, and I believe it was Oni Press did Sixth Gun, right?
Right.
Yeah. Love that. I mean, anyway, so you're doing Turtles and the Redux edition comes out. How did you hear about it? Because you did covers, you did interior pieces. Like, did Kevin reach out? Did you hear about it? Like, how did you connect with Palladium? Kind of rekindle this love of Palladium for the Redux edition.
Yeah, well, so I did, a lot of art for like the IDW Turtles comics and stuff, and I had done like a little bit of Mirage stuff before the Viacom sale
Yeah.
in 2009. And at the time, I was writing, like I was the head writer on the comic for like 4 years or something.
Yeah.
And I am acquainted with Jeff Whitman at Paramount, who's like, he's like the licensing editor. And I had been trying, like, even before I became head writer, and I was just kind of like pitching like miniseries and one-offs and stuff for Turtles. Like, I had been trying to do like something with the Palladium characters, like the Terror Bears and Doc Farrell. Love that stuff. And, so like, they're like, yeah, like we don't have the rights to this. We can't do it. And I'm like, yeah, all right. And so like the first thing I did when I first took over as head writer, I had like all these, thinly veiled kind of homages to the Palladium characters. Like, I had these three weasel characters, like Caesar's weasels, and with like different names, but like, like if you know, you know, kind of stuff. Like I think there was one issue I like name dropped Fred Hamster or whatever, and stuff like that. And then like after I had done a lot of that stuff, Jeff was just like, "Hey, I think we're going to get the Palladium rights." And I'm like, "Damn it." Like, I even did like a Terror Bears kind of thing, with these like little critters with like skulls on their bellies. And like, just like, well, now I can't do the Terror Bears. I can't do them again. It's like I already kind of did them, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, yeah, so that's how I got involved in the Palladium stuff, because like Jeff was like, oh, Sophie's a huge fan. And then they brought me in that way. I actually did, like, after I got the boot from the series, like I was working on a pitch that had the Terror Bears in it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Doc Farrell, like, I was just like, I'm going to go all out. Like we can finally use these characters I've been dying to use. Like I am going to do a mini series and put all of them in, because who knows when I'm going to get a chance to do it. And, it didn't happen. It fell through. So
yeah. You did the cover for Transdimensional TMNT for the Redux Edition.
Yes.
What other pieces of art can we be on the lookout when we get the books in that you put in there?
God, I was so excited early on. I was like, like most of the art is like the same stuff.
Right. Yeah, they colored the old Eastman and Laird art and Kevin's stuff that he put in there. But there's also like the did you do anything in the was it the homage section or whatever, where people were like submitting pieces of art to just like in the remembrance or the like to honor the turtles?
I did full pieces of the Sparrow Eagles and the Terror Bears.
Okay.
Like, I don't know. I have the book here somewhere, but like I don't know where they are, like in the book.
Just keep a lookout, people.
Yeah. So I did that. But yeah, like early on, like I was kind of against them coloring that stuff. Like I was just like, no, you can't, don't do it. Those pieces, they weren't designed to be colored. They have all these, like screen tones and stuff. It's like, don't do it. And then, when it became clear, they're like, well, we're going to do it. I was like, all right, give all the transdimensional stuff to me. I will color it. I'll color it myself to like make sure it's good. Like that's how invested I was. Like
that's amazing.
It quickly became clear that plus whatever comics I was working on at the time, it was impossible. I couldn't do it right. I did color some of Kevin's pieces for the book. Like he did like a shark mutant, like some penguins.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So I got to color those, but like, I don't think I did anything for Transdimensional. I was just like, like a week would go by and I'd be like, guys, I think this is maybe like kind of like too much work. Like maybe if I did only half of it or something. And then like a week later, I'd be like, yeah, I don't know if I can do any of this.
Well, I mean, that's the thing about, I mean, I do writing work for hire, and there are so many things I would love to do, but I have to make sure that all the plates keep spinning so I get that.
Yeah, like I actually started. I think like I colored like one or two of those the Jim Lawson dinosaurs from Transdimensional.
That's awesome.
And I was just like, this is gonna take me forever. Like, there's no way. I'm just like looking at like the list of like other images in the book. Just like I can't. It's impossible. I can't do it.
Well, do you think there's going to be a chance that maybe a spring or fall game of TMNT Redux may hit your table?
That would be great. Like I would love to do like something in like the tail end of winter. Like that would be nice. Yeah. I ran a Turtles game years ago that took place here in Rochester, New York, where I live.
Okay.
And I was just like what if Doc Farrell just like set up
shop?
set up shop here in Rochester, like the Rochester like Biospawn branch or whatever.
Oh,
And
that's
so like,
awesome.
like we did like a whole thing that was like set here in the city. It was pretty fun. Um, Rochester weather in the game and stuff like like weather is like, very important. Like when I run games,
I'm picking up on that. That's actually though very cool.
very important. Yeah, like just the mood, like the entire like tone is like set by the weather.
Yeah. Oh, so I have this game that I love, Shadows of Esteren. It's this French RPG, and I only run it in fall and winter. And when I lived in Colorado, I would open all of the basement windows, and we would play by hurricane lamps.
Oh
But
my
like the
god,
temperature would drop, and like
that's
people would have to
cool.
huddle in around the, because I only had like four of them, so
Right, right.
three for the players, one for me.
That's
But
incredible.
it was you're right. There's something about like the smell at that time of year. There's something about the weather, the sound, like wind. It is a huge, huge component of this, like the sounds that come through, the rustling of leaves. There's like, oh,
Yeah,
there's a reason why I only run this horror game
absolutely.
this time of the year. So,
Yeah,
well,
like it's yeah. There's like a horror component, kind of
mhm,
spookiness. I think like in the fall and winter, but there's also this kind of like coziness to it, where like you want
mhm.
to be inside with like a cup of tea or whatever
Yeah,
because it's cold and like who knows what's out there, like
right.
that.
Yeah, the light and the warmth is here.
Right.
The night is dark and full of terrors, as the people of the Seven Kingdoms would say.
Right.
Well, I hope if you end up running your TMNT Redux at some point, please
Oh, that's so
let me
fun.
know, and I'd love to have you on to talk about it.
Yeah, that'd be so fun. I really want to do, I would like, one thing I've been trying to get going for a while is a Palladium fantasy game. And it just hasn't happened. Like, but there is something about like that original Palladium fantasy book with like the troglodytes in it.
Yeah,
Love them.
I love the picture of the troll just
The
kind of like
troll.
leaning back
Yeah,
against the tree with the big sword.
I
So
love
I so I'm actually running. So I have a Tuesday night and a Wednesday night game, and I just was like, because of time and health, I was like, all right, guys, we're going to play the same game. So I just want you. Here's a list of games I want to run, and they both picked Palladium Fantasy.
Oh, nice.
So I've set everything in the Timuro Kingdom because the old ones book is like that
Love
book
the
just blew me away the first
love
time I
the old
read it.
ones book. The
So
the
yeah,
Adventures on the High Seas book like really
oh yeah,
blew my mind when I was a kid.
yeah, that
It
book is
just had
great.
it had
Uh,
like I don't know, like a lot of like D&D is great and everything fine, whatever, but like so many games are like trying to like think how to put it, like are really like class focused,
hmm
which is fine. Forbidden Lands has like professions and stuff like
hmm
that, but like in Palladium it's like you can pick like peasant
Yeah,
and like noble. Like you don't get any big powers. Like you're just a noble, and like like maybe you have like some land holdings or something.
yeah.
But
I have a
like
lumberjack in one of my games.
yeah, like I love that. I love when there's like Zweihander is really good at that too.
Yeah, I
Just like
love that game too.
yeah, these really like like oh yeah, my class is like rat catcher or something. Like I love that kind of stuff. And
Yeah,
like the Adventures on the High Seas book, they had like acrobat, and I was just like, yeah, like they're just a regular acrobat. They don't have any big superpowers. They're not balanced. That's what I should say. Like
yeah.
games are obsessed with that I don't totally care for is balance. And like D&D, everything's balanced, right? Like,
and especially in later editions, right? Like,
yeah, which is the stuff I'm familiar with. Like 5e was the first D&D I played. I was like too busy with Rips and Vampire all those years growing up, you
oh
know?
yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
that's like, I think the first game that I saw people call attention to it was a game called Burning Wheel.
Yes. Yeah, I
And
have Burning Wheel. I've never played it, but I have the
oh,
book.
so my two of my top three campaigns, one was a Burning Wheel game and one was an Exalted second edition
Oh,
game.
nice.
But they talk about it. They're like, listen, life paths are life paths. You're not going to get balanced characters, and that's not a bug. That's the way we designed the game.
Yeah.
Frodo is not the equal of Aragorn, who is not the equal of Gandalf, and it works. And you know what? That's the thing about Rifts. If you're
Rifts.
playing a city rat or a cyber knight compared to a dragon
Right.
or a dragon juicer or anything by a book that CJ Corella written,
Right.
I love South America, but the power level went.
Yeah, it's
You got to embrace it.
for sure. Phase World.
Oh man,
Or like we had a game when we were kids where we had somebody that was like a coalition grunt and like another player was like a Cosmo Knight or some nonsense like that.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Like you can run a game like that and make it work. Yeah. It doesn't matter if like shit's not fair, and like like that's part of it, like how do you make a story with like like a vagabond from the core book and a cosmonaut, or like even sticking with just the core book, like you were saying, like like a vagabond and like a dragon, or a vagabond, a coalition grunt, or technical specialist or whatever it is, and like a juicer or something. And it's like there's something like really exciting about that for me.
Well, and especially from a storytelling perspective and from a player's perspective, like one of my buddies, we had just a golden age of Riffs experience in high school, college, and right after college, where there were about 15 of us, and I would say about 7 of us were GMs, and we would just all descend on somebody's house and play for 4 days straight. And it was just like you just had to show up with an adventure and tell us what level. And like we would, people would just break off into groups. But his favorite character was an old believer from Russia, which is basically like the most chill druid class in all of Rifts. And it's like
normal person, pretty much.
He loved it. That's cool. He would go on adventures with gods and godlings and dragons, and man,
I love that.
I gotta play more Rifts. That's basically I love that. And from a storytelling perspective, I think that was always something that appealed to me about the Palladium games, especially when you read like how to reward players. When you looked at the experience points, it was always like, did you think well? Did you play in character? Did you come up with a great idea? Did you self-sacrifice?
Right.
Oh, also, if you killed something, here's a little bit of experience. Right. But like using a skill was just as good. Using 4 skills was just as good as taking out like a medium bad guy.
Right.
So let me just use my skills in creative ways and get that sweet XP.
Yeah, and there's like I've seen a lot of people like kind of knock Palladium, or knock like Rifts in particular. Like there's too many choices, there's too many things you can be, and it's like on one hand I get that, but on the other hand, like that's cool. Like I like that. Like when I first got Zweihander, and I saw there's like, like how many like professions or whatever.
So many.
Yeah, there's so many. I'm just like what? Like like Warhammer is kind of the same way, and that's when like Shadow Dark like really caught my eye. Like I had like the first book, which is like the 4 classes or whatever, but then like every zine like Kelsey Dion like puts out, there's like a couple of new classes, and it's like All right, now we're cooking.
Yeah, and I especially like when she puts out classes that are clearly themed for her world. They're
Yes,
not just the
absolutely.
generic four. Don't get me wrong. I will play a sword and board fighter in a D&D game till the day I die because I love sword and board fighters. But once I started seeing how she was theming them to her world, I'm like, this is because again, riffs, right? Every book had new OCCs.
Yes, that was the first. That's the first thing you would go to. Like, check
Yes.
table of contents, see what new shit you can play.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
man, Federation of Magic still is one of
that's
my
a good
favorite
one.
books of all time. And all of the different Magi and all of the different like weird stuff and some stuff that like they hinted at and it didn't pay off till like 10 books later when we got Madhaven and finally got like the noble, the Order of the White Rose Mystic Knight. And I was just like, they
Yeah,
do exist. I can finally play one. Um, yeah, there's something about Palladium games that just ignites the imagination. And even I've seen those posts, and even the people who are complaining about how much there is about riffs, they still are like, yeah, I mean the world's though kind of like super cool, but you really
yeah.
got to limit it.
It's still pretty
I'm
cool.
like,
Yeah,
yeah, the world is super cool. It's a
and it's
feature,
like,
not a bug.
you don't have to use everything in every game.
Yep.
Like the one I did over the summer, I was just like, okay, this is like a coalition
Yeah.
city game. If you can make a compelling case to why you want to play Dragon, that's great. Do it. But like otherwise, like, here's the original book, here's the Coalition Manhunters book, here's it's like really specific. And it's like, yeah, like you don't have to worry about all that stuff. Like it doesn't
Yep.
need to be a character from like every continent or something. Or, if you do like a Rift England game, like here's Rift England, like pick from this book. Like what's the problem?
Yeah, and I've got an idea for a campaign set in Arsno, and I'm like, that gives me the Spirit West and the New West to the north, and the Vampire Kingdoms to the south, and I've got like a
Love
little
the
base.
Vampire Kingdoms.
Perfect. Just that's all that I need.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
were going to do like, so at the end of this campaign I ran over the summer, there was they were, thing, the heat got so bad in the city that the characters, they eventually like had to get out,
Yeah.
and I was just like, okay, so I can like, I can push them to do, to like use this like artificial rift that the coalition has created and escape that way, or I can like push them into like the New West and do like a Western thing. Like, like what should I do? And what happened was they eventually used the rift and they wound up in like modern day Earth,
Oh, very cool.
with like no money, no ID or whatever. And like that's
Yep.
where we left it. And I still think about going back to it. And like what world could it be? It could be Heroes Unlimited.
Oh yeah.
It could just be completely normal Earth. It could be Earth on the verge of dark day and night spawn.
And oh man, that would be great.
Yeah.
Well, and when I was talking with Carl, I interviewed Carl Gleba last week or the week before, and we were talking about his Minion War series, and I was like, when I read Armageddon Unlimited, and spoiler alert for people who haven't read this book that came out years ago, right, the idea that the demons were like, hey, we could make another Rift's Earth. And we could do it on this one, and they accidentally pick Heroes Unlimited, so all of the superheroes are trying to stop Armageddon from happening.
I have not read that one. That sounds
it's so good.
sounds bananas.
It's so good. Because again, it makes perfect sense in the scope of the megaverse, but also what group of superheroes wouldn't want to fight off a demon invasion of their world? Like, yeah. You wrote an adventure for the Kickstarter as a stretch goal.
Yes, I did. It's called The Tunnel. It is it's maybe a little too complicated than what I had originally set out to do, because like a lot of those adventures in the early books are like, it's like here's a location, here are the characters. It's more like an adventure site, which is like what people call it now. And it's about a secret lab called the Tunnel in an old abandoned aqueduct, and it involves the Sparrow Eagles. And the long lost fourth Sparrow Eagle. So that's what it's about.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I did some art for it. I statted out a bunch of characters and stuff. Great. It was pretty fun.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it was I think like Kevin is supposed to like go through it and like kind of finesse it a little bit. So, we'll see how it goes. I still have to write all the personal profiles for all the characters.
That's a PDF stretch goal that's going to be coming out in a little bit.
I think it should be in that. I think because I don't think it's like going to be like a printed thing. Like it's not going to be in the book. Yeah.
Well, we should see if you're ever at a con that Palladium's at. We should see if we can't like get a slot to come play the tunnel.
That'd be so fun.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be so fun.
Yeah. Well, Sophie, thank you so much for coming and hanging out. This was awesome. Like, I got game recommendations. I got movie recommendations. We talked about our favorite games. This is awesome.
Yeah, it was great. I love talking about, RPG stuff in particular.
Yeah. Well, again, I really hope that we can schedule another one of these after Turtles is out and kind of talk a little bit more. And if you get a game going, I'd love to hear about it.
That'd be great. Do you play